The views and opinions expressed by the Open Ranks podcast are that of the hosts and do not reflect the official policy or authority of the military. The content provided by the Open Ranks podcast is not intended to disrespect or offend any of our fellow service members, past or present, nor is it our intent to disrespect or offend any gender, race, religion, or sexual orientation. Please enjoy.
Welcome back to Open Ranks. I'm your host, joined here by Kalen Postel, Walter Cooper, Khalil Wright. Gentlemen, how are we doing this afternoon, this evening?
Feeling pretty good.
What's up?
We here. Lots of things to cover today, but I want to start by admitting that I was wrong. I think a few of us were wrong. The Chiefs did not they didn't hold up their end of the bargain. More specifically, their offensive line did not hold up their end of the bargain. Tom Brady threw for 21 of 29 passes, 201 yards, 3 touchdowns. Super Bowl recap. How'd y'all enjoy the game? Where'd you watch it at?
I think I watched it at the house. I was by myself. We still locked down, so we not able to have Super Bowl parties and all of that stuff. So I watched it at the crib till about halftime when I kind of figured out what was going on, and then I went to bed because, like I said, for me it was probably at least 2 in the morning. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna stay up and watch Tom Brady do this fucking confetti and all this shit. So I had to go.
Yeah, nobody want to see that. What about you, Coop?
I was at a coworker crib. There's a bunch of us. We all kind of TDY at the moment, so it's like 15 of us. We was all over there watching the game. That is
okay. I mean, you were the only person on the line that would have been happy to see Tom Brady hoist that trophy up. So I hope you screamed and had your heart full of contentment.
I mean, to be honest, I really didn't care either way. I just knew the nigga was gonna win. I just felt it. I told y'all before the last episode, nigga make miracles. I don't know. He didn't even really have to do it. I don't even think he broke a sweat that game, bro.
It didn't seem like it. I don't think there's been an easier football game played. As far as the approach they took, it was incredible. What you think, Khalil?
Oh yeah, for sure. I was at my girl's crib, but I mean, yeah, similar to what you said about Walter. I really didn't care who won either way. I mean, I figured the Chiefs were gonna win, but I'm not hurt that Tom Brady won. I guess probably, we're gonna jump into it in a second, but as far as talking a little bit more about the game, I wasn't surprised that they won, right? Like I feel like, of course there is a game plan for the Chiefs. I didn't think it would work so flawlessly the entire game, right? Like for me, I think the biggest takeaway for me, aside from the fact that their offensive line was shot, right? Their 2 tackles, they didn't have them. The fact that they ran that cover 2 deep the entire game. They did not let Tyreek Hill get deep the entire game. And they pretty much forced everyone else to move up a position, right? Like Travis Kelce was used to being the number 1, but he had to be like a 1+. Mecole Hardman, everyone else had to move up a slot. And I think if they had prepared for it, right, that could have been mitigated. But talking to Andy, listening to Andy Reid after the game and a couple other guys, they all admitted we were not expecting that game plan. I don't know how you go into that.
What else do you do? Like,
I don't know how you go to that game not expecting it, but
that's been my whole thing with Tyreek Hill this whole time. Like, bro is not like an actual wide receiver. Like, he doesn't run routes. He doesn't like jump up over top of nobody. He's not like, he's a superior athlete, but he's not a receiver. Like, bro is a sprinter who happens to put on a helmet every Sunday. Like, he's not. You can game plan for him. It's hard to game plan for him. You got to give up a lot of shit, and a lot of other things got to go well. So I'm not gonna say that he's not a good football player, but as far as being a wide receiver, like if you do that and it works, it works. Like, you can't do that to Julio. You can't just pick one coverage and try to cover Julio. You can't pick one coverage and try to cover DeAndre Hopkins. It doesn't work. So that's always been my thing with Tyreek. So it was. They pass rush went crazy. Devin White played great. I wasn't mad the Buccaneers won. The Buccaneers won. I didn't really care for real. it's good to see all them young guys get a win.
Yeah.
I like
so
Mike
early
Evans
into
a
their
lot.
careers.
Yeah, I like Mike Evans a lot. Leonard Fournette, not that good, but I'm happy that he has some positivity in his career. LaShawn McCoy, Shady went and got back. He went back to back because he played for the Chiefs last year. That was kind of cool to see him get another one. So his career is validated. So
yeah,
no, it was interesting. It was an interesting watch.
It was an interesting game. I mean, the incredible intensity. Shout out to Antonio Brown. The fact that he was able to come back to that team.
Antonio Brown
got him a touchdown, right? He wasn't just on the roster. He played a part in securing that victory. Even just hearing that some of the coaches and then some of the clips that released after the Super Bowl saying that he didn't even run the route that he was supposed to on the touchdown that he scored. He just kind of lined up and took Tyrann Mathieu where he wanted him to go and got open. So hopefully this brings him back. I don't know if he's going to stay in Tampa Bay. I don't know why you wouldn't, but good to see Antonio Brown back on the good side of things. Does this make Tom Brady the best athlete of all time? It's an oversaturated conversation, but I got to ask you, best athlete of all time or just the best NFL member of all time?
I mean, I was going to say, for me, it depends on how you want to define that question. If you're talking about pure athleticism and being an athlete, then absolutely
absolutely
hell no.
Not. Right. Right.
Hell no. Even the best in his field, in his sport, yeah, but if you're looking at athlete as just somebody who plays sports, then the answer is no for me. There's a lot of other people you could put up instead of him just because it's a team game. And there's a lot of things that have to go right for Tom Brady to be able to win other than him doing whatever it is that he does. So like me, I pick like Serena Williams, Simone Biles, those type of people who singled out in their fields as being the best to ever do it, and it's not really disputable at all. Like you can't say anybody's better than Serena in her field. Like nobody.
Right. No, you can't. You can't. Simone either. I don't think as many people are aware of what she's been able to accomplish in her short but long career, because the Olympics and all those events only come around so often. Incredible athlete. I think Tiger Woods, even though there's been a lot of good golfers, I put him up there as far as the dominance that he had. I mean, his career has hit a major dip, but to come back and win the way that he did when he did that last Masters, I was like, I don't know, man. That kind of puts him up there on the Mount Rushmore, or at least on the mini Mount Rushmore next to what would be.
That boy really lost his mojo when they got him out the paint.
Right. Yeah. They definitely got rid of him. Who you got up there?
Mojo.
He said my goat is Serena Williams.
Serena Williams.
Yeah, I mean, she really out there by herself and putting up crazy numbers, and there's nobody else that's built like her that's doing it. What's the new girl name? I can't even think her name. The one she done lost to.
Naomi Osaka.
Yeah, I'm watching her right now. She nice.
She nice, but she ain't coming like that.
She got a lot to do to get to Serena. She got a lot to do to get where Serena at, but for real, that's who I got on my list. And then of course you got like LeBron.
Yeah.
But I ain't gonna bring him up. I know y'all gonna do that enough. So.
You know what? Now it's gonna be short. Now the only reason why, obviously, for the same reasons that it's hard to give Tom Brady too much credit because it is a team sport. What does add to Tom's resume, but is more on LeBron's, is the ability to have that impact on three teams. And I don't think, and not just three teams, the fact that you left a losing organization, went to another one, you won, but to come back to the same losing organization and lift them to the promised land, that's not like regular. Like when you think about the Miami Heat and the Los Angeles Lakers, these are two teams that throughout the modern era of basketball have a respectable reputation and a brand of basketball that secures them victories. LeBron lifted Cleveland to the highest of all heights. They don't have a brand of basketball. There's no noteworthy Cavalier teams beyond his presence.
There are.
Yeah. Who? Craig Elo?
Can't help.
You said noteworthy. That's a note.
Okay, fine. Fine. Okay, there's one. There's a stint.
In the 90s, they was decent.
It was decent. I'll give him that. But a championship DNA, they didn't have that running through their veins. And what he did with that was incredible. Khalil, who you got?
Just to piggyback off of you, I'm gonna go with LeBron.
Please don't. You're not about to bring that shit in here.
I am.
You're not. No, I'm talking about the piggyback shit. You're not about to bring that in.
You can hear that shit every day.
But yeah, I'm gonna go with LeBron, and I'm glad you kind of Henry. I'm glad you kind of touched on his career is like his playing career. I'm gonna talk more about like his general athleticism throughout his career. Because when when we're asking about like what goes into making someone the greatest athlete of all time, like when we talk about Tom Brady, obviously we're not talking about his physical abilities, but with LeBron,
not entirely.
Yeah, not entirely. Not his.
Not at all.
True. I mean, really, like really, really. But about as far as LeBron, I mean, easily we've never seen anyone the size of a power forward, able to handle the ball like he can, running as fast as he can, getting as high as he can, right? Like when you just look at LeBron, is the perfect athlete. I mean, I've never seen a combination of size, speed, and strength like him on the court before.
All the way through.
So up until Giannis or Ben Simmons a couple years ago, but when LeBron came in, like he was the first of the unicorns in that sense.
Nigga was a specimen.
He was. I mean, especially with the longevity. I mean, this man is in year 18. I saw some of the highlights from the game last night. I just can't even believe it. It's just like he really gonna walk away when he feels like it, when he wants to. Like, not that other people haven't done that, but we know that there were other reasons that caused it. This man is gonna walk away from the top when he feels like it. The numbers he's putting up this year are on par with the years that he won MVP.
Hey man,
It's insane.
Serena won the big one while she was pregnant.
She did. Serena's number one.
Shorty had a baby in there.
Serena's number one. I got Braun 2, and then the rest of the list, maybe Simone Biles and everybody else. But that doesn't. I mean, we're talking about the goats of all goats. So wherever you fall on that list, outside of Serena, doesn't diminish, where you at.
Wayne Gretzky up there too.
For sure.
No, I don't know how. I don't know how much you know about hockey, but
yeah. I'm not gonna argue.
Like the distance between him and the field is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, it ain't nobody close to Wayne
like
Gretzky.
The gap between like him and second is like the same gap between like second and like 100.
It's literally that bad.
Yeah. No, so I think about Wayne Gretzky, and I won't do this, but in comparison to where I don't know enough about it to challenge it. Same way when I ask people how they feel about their favorite MCs, and some people bring up Eminem, I don't listen to him enough to challenge it. So I kind of just let you have it. But I know Wayne Gretzky is absolutely stamped. But Gotti mentioned something earlier when we were talking about Tom Brady and the importance of the team game. How little do people take team functionality and ability to galvanize into consideration when talking about accomplishing things like a championship?
I mean, you look at like in your workspace. Obviously, us, like everything that we do is a team concept. So at the moment one cog isn't moving, then everything just kind of goes to shit. So I mean, it's important. It just kind of depends on the type of sport that you're playing on. Like basketball, one person can take over and get you to a certain point, before the team play has to be involved. But Tom can play as great as he wants, but or Patrick Mahomes can play as great as he wants. But if they if they drop a fucking ball, then it is what it is.
Sure, and maybe that's a little bit of what we saw. Yeah, because he was doing the best that he could. I mean, the amount of yards they said he ran trying to escape being sacked.
500.
Yeah, was like the most ever recorded in an NFL game. So it's like his individual effort was there, but the rest of the team kind of didn't show up in the way that he would have needed them to. Whenever I think of team functionality, I really think about the time we spent in honor guard. And that is at the peak of like when I think of teams, when I think about the different dynamics necessary to accomplish what we all did. Because as individuals, you and Coop had some great times in honor guard, but as a team, as a collective, our rotation, the one before, we went on to get honor guard team of the year. And just some of the things that we were able to do, some of the assignments that we were able to take, the three of us plus Big Williams, shout out to John Williams. We had a fantastic time. Coop, you smiling really hard. Talk about what the honor guard meant for you, what that team meant for you.
Shoot, man, that first rotation was crazy, man. That was like really when we started kicking off, it's like friends for real, you know.
Yeah.
In fact, I still had the Android, you feel me?
Yeah.
Oh God, bro was like, "Hey, let me
Green
get
bubbles.
the group chat. Hey, we can't even do it, big
Chat.
time."
Never knew what was going on.
Had no idea.
Hey,
So,
hey, somebody call Coop.
Somebody got to call Coop.
for real, you know. So I had to go get that joint, get that Apple, so I could get in the group chat, man, so we could communicate better. But no, it was great, man. We had a great time. Like I can't even explain just the amount of memories and experiences that we had, just insider jokes, laughs, and everything from being late to work, forgetting shoes, whatever the case may be. Being some of the best that did it, at least that rotation for sure. I like to say I was pretty nice at that shit, but
hey, look, hey, when fucking with me, I'm sorry, Wes. It was you, Wes. That was the only people I was looking at as competition.
nigga, we was in there doing our thing. You feel me? So yeah, it was cool. It was like literally the best time that I've ever had. I ended up doing like a total of 1 year and 9 months in honor guard in my career. So yeah,
man, I'm trying to figure out because I did it over there, and then I did it over here too.
yeah.
No, I mean it's been my favorite part about being in the military. Shout out to Sergeant Sanchez, Sergeant Ayon now. It's a married name. Shout out to Sergeant Ayon, best supervisor I've ever had.
Yes.
We talking head coaches.
I'm putting up against anybody.
Hey, she wasn't playing no games. She wasn't playing
games.
She
she my Phil Jackson. She did that, man. She did that.
That was dope. It was dope.
It was probably the best I ever felt being in the military, and it definitely kind of helped me get where I am now as far as leadership skills and being confident in what it is that you do and doing it the way that it is that you're comfortable to be able to do things. Like I don't try to be nobody else because she allowed me to be who I was, and that worked out great. So I'm gonna just keep on doing what I'm doing.
You know, it was funny because we would do certain things and we look over at her for like validation or like for trouble, and she have a little smirk on. But everybody, she was on their ass. It was like the best shit because she knew we was just who we was, and there wasn't nothing she could do about it. She's gonna have to let us like thrive
because it worked, bro. Like we was, I don't know who she would say is some of her best guardsmen, but I'll say it for her. Wasn't nobody messing with that rotation. I'm sorry.
That rotation.
No. If I'm not mistaken, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. I think she made mention of it, but it was a special time. It was a special group, and the reason why when I think about team dynamics and how important it is, there's nothing that compares to the people we had because everybody did different rotations. Coop and I came back for a separate rotation. You had to do a rotation without all of us, and nothing compared to the chemistry. Whether it wasn't even about everybody being best friends. It was just everybody. The 30 people that we had came to work every day to do what it is that we needed to do. Practices
to the best of their ability.
To the best of their ability. The practices were intense. The competition was stiff. The trash talking was heavy. And we just had fun, man. Cause I know you know honor guard. You performing all the ceremonies. It was incredible. Like I can't think nothing better of it. Cause I didn't even want to do it. You know, I don't really like. I don't really like nothing super. My perception of the honor guard was really, really patriotic. And I came in with all respects to the military. I came in to go to school, learn a career, and then I was supposed to get out. So when I saw people participating in those ceremonies and doing an excellent job with it, I was like, oh, that's cool, but not for me. And so for the most part in Charleston, the squadron sent over their best people. And occasionally they send over their absolute worst to try to see if it would, the discipline necessary to participate in honor guard would turn them around. But for the most part, it was your best. Like our rotation was full of like BTZ runner-ups and BTZ winners, and people was getting BTZ while we were over there. So we had a bunch of heavy hitters, and y'all had a chance to go to the training class. I had turned it down so many times. I missed the training class. I only came because the flight chief came and got me for the last time. Was like, do you want to go or not? And when he told me when, I stepped out of work and called Gotti. And I was like, Gotti, didn't you say you're going to honor guard in like September? And he was like, yeah, that's when the rotation starts. I was like, all right, bet I'll do it. I didn't really know what I was signing up for, but I do it because they do the training classes before you're supposed to come on, gets you kind of prep. All of my training was like the 2 weeks before y'all got there.
Yeah, because you went early.
Y'all were there. Yeah, I got there early to try to learn before y'all got there, and then finish learning. And then Ortiz, I think, was pretty similar. She came in a little afterwards, And she was Ortiz was like a little pit bull when it came to training. She wouldn't even let up to the point where people's feet was hurting. It's like, yo, we got it. We good.
She was like,
I don't need this. You need to go home, grab a broom. I'm not gonna do this shit all day. I'm
hey, we was
finished.
tough though. And I think we got to give a shout out to her again, Sir Sanchez, Sir Aeon, because even on our days off, we was in there like, nah, y'all gonna come in here and train. If we was in there, we wasn't just sitting down. It was 15-minute breaks, and then we was back up training again. So
yeah,
that's a testament to her because we was cold. We was tough.
And I thought of it like, cause I really took pride in what we was doing. Like, obviously, to me, the main purpose of the honor guard is the funerals. Like, I don't care about change of commands. I don't care about parades. I don't care about none of that. I'm here to do the funerals because that's a lot of people's last image that they get, of the military even being that close to people in uniform. So, going down doing the uniforms or doing the ceremonies for the funerals. Like, not in a disrespectful way, but to me, like, I'm putting on a performance, I'm putting on a show. Like, I want to give you the best product it is that I can, so you can leave with that, lasting image, whenever you think about laying that family member to rest. So whenever we got there, and we looking good, everybody sharp, everybody ready to go, and we everything perfect, everything on time, just like we practiced it. That was like the best feeling in the world to me. And then being able to do it with, what turned out to be my best friends at the time, like, was that much better.
Yeah. I mean, Khalil, I can't road trips. I gained so much weight that first getting pulled over, getting speeding tickets. I gained so much weight that first rotation. I mean, we ate everything.
Boy, stop now. Don't let me have a detail before 10 o'clock. We going to Hardee's.
Man, going to Hardee's, going to Chick-fil-A. It was this chicken joint outside of Beaufort named Maryland's. We used to go in there and get fried gizzards right after. I mean, we just had a blast, man. We had a blast. And it's crazy how far away in your mind your obsession is with getting all of those movements right, getting your timing right. Like, there were times where, like, we were getting to a point where it was, I don't know, kind of hard to even remember where we were because everything was so focused on just making sure of us did what we needed to do. So even though we were at a funeral and we were bestowing honors upon someone's loved ones, everybody was so mentally locked in. I don't think I've ever had tunnel vision like that. It was like the church wasn't there, the pews weren't, the people.
I don't know if you ever did MPB, but that's the only time that you kind of get outside of that, when you got to, like, hand over the flag and that kind of emotional exchange. Because I've gotten emotional like a couple times. I think probably the first time, and then I think it was like a man I was giving the flag to, and bro was like, he was done. I'm like, oh shit, come on, dog. I got to hold it together, and you making it real hard.
Yeah.
Many of those.
Yeah. Only one that made me cry was the when we did the retrieval off the jet and we were on the flight line. That joint there was tough. We were in Statesboro, Georgia. It was a staff sergeant. I think Staff Sergeant McBride. We ended up putting him in the project.
Yeah.
The reservist unfortunately lost his life overseas, and they flew his body home, in the casket with the American flag draped over it. And we had to retrieve the body off the jet, put it into the hearse so they can make its way to the service. And we get to Statesboro, Georgia. It's a small town. We get to the airport, the whole city is out. The whole city, every news crew. I mean, we barely could move around. We couldn't find a spot to park. I mean, it's packed. We get out to the flight line, your typical flight line, like that, your ECP point, that line that's painted, the whole ECP is flooded like 100 yards in every direction. There's people there with signs, like I said, news stations. I mean, it's just a lot of people there. Jet lands, it's quiet. You could hear a coin drop on the cement. It's quiet. We walk up, we grab his body, we're going through our routines, we're making our way through the process. It's a pretty wide gap between the jet and the hearse. I can't remember why, but it was pretty far, probably from safety standpoint. You got your distance.
Yeah, because the kickback from the turbines, you can't be that close to it.
So we get to the point where we're marching. Everybody's in step. It's so quiet. This is one of those moments. I mean, you can hear the heel clicks. Everybody's hitting, and we're making our way down. Everything is perfect, and then out of nowhere, all you hear is this shriek, and it's just this loud, just cry. It's the only sound you can hear. And all of our heads are faced in the direction that we're moving. We can't turn around to acknowledge it. Afterwards, we hear a set of footsteps that's not ours. right, running up. And then out of nowhere, footsteps stop, and there's this huge tug at the back of the casket, right? So we sitting there like, and we stuck, and it's the mom. The mom, Sorry McBride's mother, is pulling. She hasn't seen her son. Her son hadn't been back in the States until now. This is his first time making that trip back home. So she's trying to snatch this out. And we're like stuck, literally like, oh my God, like, you know, that's some, you know, we don't really get a chance to practice for. And somebody, I think Sergeant Aon and a couple of people were able to help her back to the side, and we were able to get to the back of the hearse. And at this point, you know, you know, go from the side back to the front. And I'm looking at Williams. I think I'm looking at Crable. I'm trying to think who else was across from me. Everybody's got tears coming down their eyes. And we slide it in and we march off. And it was like, yo, what just happened? You know what I'm saying? Like, what was it that we were just a part of? So, I mean, it was an incredible time, but it was definitely some emotional moments to go along with it.
I remember I had a dog run up on us one time. That was crazy.
See?
Like, we was doing firing party, and like we firing, and the fucking dog just runs up. I'm like, is y'all gonna come collect him? Or they didn't do nothing. We just kept on rocking.
Yeah. But it wasn't all bad. We did some cool things. We met Sloane Stephens. Speaking of women's tennis, we met Sloane Stephens one night after the Charleston Classic. That was dope. We did the College of Charleston ESPN run. That was cool. Half court. Gotti got a little emotional there too. That lady was singing the national anthem so well. Really got into his spirits.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, he was a little touched. We don't have to talk about it. We don't have to worry about it.
Was it Khadijah? No, Khadijah didn't
no,
sing.
It was somebody else.
What are you talking about? I bust my lip on that one. The one you talking about?
Maybe that's what was causing.
No, I bust my lip with the fucking
shout
rifle.
Out to Khadijah though. Shout out to Khadijah.
Shout out Slaughter, Khadijah Slaughter. Yeah,
she did do it. She did it right. But no, like I said, anytime I think about team performances, it makes me think of the honor guard, and it changed my perspective of the Air Force for sure. I was like, you know, this is how I've ever been a part of. Yeah, this is how this should feel. People come to work, do the job, they make it happen, and they go home. All of those comp days when we were able to play volleyball, everything we did kept the team intact. Volleyball at the beach, volleyball, our PT runs, everything we did was fantastic. Except the weight I gained on that first rotation. That was crazy. It's absolutely crazy. There's a lot of trust. We came back, so everybody else had to report back that second rotation on like a Thursday. We had the first ceremony. She told us to just come in that Saturday morning. So we was cooling, assuming that there's no problems, right? We get there Saturday. Everybody's able to get dressed but me. Their pants don't fit anymore.
They had to get that man some new pants.
Yo, all that goddamn Hardys had caught up to a motherfucker. That shit was getting really bad. I'm serious. I had on high waters. It took everything I had just to get out the building. I was like, you know what? This is why we should have came in on Thursday.
That's crazy, because when I started doing honor guard here, had to be 3-4 years later. She let me keep my uniform, and my uniform still fit.
Must be nice. 3 months. 3 months, buddy. 3 months.
It's a little tighter now, but it
was in a world of hurt, Khalil. I'm talking about I couldn't button my top button. I just had to hold the belt.
Oh, yeah, you was damn bad.
This is embarrassing.
Because, you know, we got them joints like tailored, too.
Yeah, I already know. Yeah. I already know.
Yeah, but they forgot the bugle, so things happen.
No! Don't break it up. I'm going to remember that, nigga.
That was tough. But we just knew we was right.
Bruh. Was fighting with what's the dude name? The caretaker or whatever was fighting with him. Like, nah, we weren't supposed to bring a bugle. That, you know, nah, we
only
got
a 2-man. It's only a 2-man. Don't worry about it.
It's only a 2-man. We gotta worry about that, bro. We got in the van and was like, let's call a friend real quick. And do we call you?
Yeah, we was touring apartments. I'm sitting at the pool. They talking about, is it a bugle supposed to be here? It's like, yes.
But at that time, the daggone funeral was already over.
We 30 minutes down the road, and keep in mind you, we had like a national cemetery, so they do this like every day. Bro, know what he talking about.
So we in the car, like we just fought that man. We gotta call him back because you know he already called. We gonna get in trouble. Sergeant Sanchez ain't having it, bro.
No.
She ain't had that. So we had to call and apologize. Like, yeah, man, we sorry. We didn't.
And then we called her. We was like, hey, we messed
better
up.
to snitch on yourself.
Oh yeah.
And she was cool though, cause we handled it as best we could, and it wasn't we ain't say fuck it, I ain't bringing the bugle. We was just dumb as hell and forgot it.
Right. No, the necessity for, I think as a part of that rotation, it was. I think you learned how to be a leader, but even more so, how to be a follower, and how important communication is, and how important accountability is, and all of the small things that make a collective group able to function. And she was consistent about that. She even came in on her off time to handle some of our affairs.
Shout out Cervantes.
Yeah. She made all efforts to handle some of our affairs. But no, it was a good time, bro. It really was. If that's what the Bucks had, hats off to them, because it was a good time. They might have. I see a little Western Tom Brady. A little Tom Brady. That's
an easy comparison to make. Next subject.
Switching gears a little bit, I'll scroll around. Kind of wanting to see where you guys stood with the saddening, heartbreaking news that's coming out about these anti-Asian hate initiatives. For those of you that don't know, according to USA News, a series of violent crimes against Asians and Asian Americans has prompted activists and experts to warn that racist rhetoric about COVID and some other things may be fueling a rise in hate incidents aimed at their community. And I've been seeing a lot of people posting about this. Obviously, a little bit of suffering is too much, because any suffering that can be avoided should. But what I found interesting was that a lot of people were trying to fold the anti-Asian hate initiative awareness kind of into Black Lives Matter, and saying that if you're for one cause, then you need to be for that cause, and kind of connecting the two. How do y'all feel about that?
I'll let Khalil start. He ain't got a chance to say too much.
I mean, as far as I understand why it's being lumped together. As far as like, I understand that basically I'll get more into it. So what I look at this as is more like Asian America's first introduction to what Black people have been going through, right? As far as like, so with the coronavirus, right? When the virus came out, I would say the level of racism that your average Asian American experience, just because there's a virus, right? It has nothing to do with them or anything like that, right? But they saw heightened levels of racism for pretty much no reason, right? Similar to Black people throughout time, where Black people didn't do anything, right? Like there's no wrongdoing. They didn't do anything, but there was always a stigma put on them for whatever it was. Whether you look at like cartoons back in the 90s, they portray them with big lips and big noses and just different things like that, right? And then that's in a way, I'm not saying it's the same thing, right? But what I'm saying is you can get at where the comparisons are.
So they had to deal with all those things as well. Like the cartoons and stuff was drawn like of them in derogatory fashions. So it's not their first time having to deal with like racism. So like World War II, like they was getting put in internment camps. So like they was getting put in concentration camps basically after like Japan like bombed us. So this ain't like their first time dealing with the shit. It's been like it's intermittent whenever they get the spotlight on them. I would say, but I think they are very disrespected. Maybe not in the, like I said, it's the spotlight not always on them, but they are always disrespected by everybody. I mean, if you, how do I want to say that? Obviously, if you're against racism, then you should be against racism in all shape, forms, and fashions. I don't know if the two are comparable, however, as far as what it is that each different group has gone through at least in America. I can't speak to worldwide. I don't know worldwide, politics, but in America, I wouldn't say it's comparable. Not to say that I don't like to play the Pain Olympics at all, but I would like. I mean, a few different demographics have had it. And they had different scenarios to deal with. I say it like that. So, I mean, you can't pick one and not the other, but what you choose to focus on and put your energy towards is to each their own.
For sure. What you got, Coop?
I just feel like you're right. Racism definitely it shouldn't be toward anybody. But when you are a race, particularly Caucasian, and you don't have to worry about really taking no repercussions for any of your actions, or say the Asian people would desire to be racist toward them, it really don't matter because they don't really feel it. You get what I'm saying? So like they might claim that they feel it, but really they already got the privilege. So ain't no way that they should ever feel like they are being racist toward when everything that's negative in this country is at least racism revolving is due from them. So like I can't really speak on the different cultures. I can only speak for mine, but if you're gonna be racist, you shouldn't be racist, period. So like no matter what color you are, it don't matter. Like they shouldn't have to feel that. Lumping them together, I mean, I guess you can in a sense, just how you want to look at it.
No, like my thing with lumping it together is what you see a lot, because I think we're gonna get to it in a minute, is they start to compare and contrast the reactions that they get in comparison to what other people get. So you see like, well, y'all went so hard for Black Lives Matter, why don't you care about this, that, and the third? Like, yo, like that's where I have an issue. Like, you ain't got to bring up my shit because your shit stink. Like, I can't, like, we ain't got nothing to do with why you ain't got people, campaigning and doing all these things on your behalf. Like, we was able to build that up for ourselves and get that conversation started. And that's where I get irritated, because at that point, what are you really trying to accomplish? Do you want to, end this type of treatment, period, or do you just not want to be treated like the niggas? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because when you are singling us out, like what the hell I got to do with y'all shit?
And on top of that, y'all even fighting for us? Like I ain't seen nobody with a Black Lives Matter sign. Like, you know what I'm saying? Fight for yourself, just like we trying to do. Like everybody out here trying to get it. Like I don't know what you want.
Like obviously, if we was all together, that'd be great. But I can't, like, black folks don't go out and say, well, y'all did this shit for the Asians. Like, we don't do that. We just want what we want for ourselves, and we try to keep it at that. Like, everybody else always feels the need to compare their movements and contrast their movements to our own, as if we don't have our own particular set of issues to deal with.
Good luck. What you think? Look, you got some things on your mind.
I just think two things can be possible at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like I understand where you're coming from as far as like black people have their own set of issues that we are trying to get amended, you know what I'm saying, in real time. But you also said something that kind of confused me, Caleb, when you said, well, in Coop 2, as far as, we got our own thing we're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? I understand that, like, and that makes sense as far as like pushing our agenda forward and getting everything that we need for our people. But if there's another group that feels as if they feel the same way we do, right or wrong, whether it's accurate or not, they feel like they do, and in a sense, their issues gives our issues more light, which brings more awareness to the situation. And this is how I feel, right? So if you disagree, like that's fine. But I feel like with the Asian American issue going on right now, with the BLM, or you know what I'm saying, however the issues with Black lives, you can tackle both. Like I don't feel like they.
I didn't say that they have to be separate. My thing is I have an issue so you'll see. You'll see like somebody say like, I don't see as many people speaking out for Asian lives like y'all was doing last summer for Black Lives Matter. They'll say that. I'm not fucking with that. because now you attacking me and my movement because you don't feel that same support. When the root of the issue is whoever is causing you to feel as if you're being discriminated against in the first place. Why are you bringing me up?
Okay.
That's my problem.
Okay, and I understand that. So let me ask.
We can help each other. I'm not saying we shouldn't help each other. We should. Well, I would like for us to get our shit straight because I feel like we've been here the longest and our shit been fucked up the longest.
Like
but again, two things can't be true at the same time. But like I said, my issue gets to be where we're being singled out as if we're the problem and why they're not able to be, get to where they want to be at.
Well, I feel that, and like the only thing like I have to say to that is that's not like there are Asians that are doing that, but there are also Asians that are not. So it's like
doing what?
Oh well, y'all were y'all.
Oh,
You know,
okay,
y'all
sure.
BLM last year, and there are people that are doing that, but there are also people who aren't. So it's more like which group are you like? Which group you choose to?
I'm not saying they don't cancel each other out, and it's not as if I'm just speaking to that and what I don't like. I don't feel as I care. You know what I mean? Like I want their issues to be resolved. I haven't seen it as much on my timeline for me to say like I'm that involved in it. I'm not that knowledgeable on it. It's not within my space. I don't like have that many Asian people in my circle. If I can help and however I can help, I'll do that. But I feel it's just a whole lot of nuances that just go untalked about because you like the racism between Asian Americans and Black Americans or just Asian people and Black people is something that kind of plays into part here and how they kind of are racist to Black people. And we have to deal with that. And again, they're sort of elevated in status in this society. So again, I can't, not playing the Pain Olympics, all an evil is an evil. But I can't feel as bad for you as I feel bad for myself. Like when we looking at what's going on and what part you play in this, in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot of what's being said, just because it's an incredibly complex situation. Like I said, I was reading it online, and I think for me, it's just I don't necessarily when we talk about who it is as the primary antagonist for most marginalized groups. I don't know if the grouping of all of our concerns allows for the individualized attention necessary to actually get the root of the individual problems. You get what I'm saying? So like if I'm concerned with the problems that are affecting the gay community and I attach that to the problems that are concerning the Black community, and then I connect those two train cars to the anti-Asian hate that's taking place now, those are all surface level and kind of distracting causes because they're deserving of equal attention, but they can't get that connected to themselves. I don't know if, for me, the advertising and marketing beyond that issue should go more to the fact that each of these individual concerns needs 100% attention. You know what I'm saying? Like, can we find it within our hearts to make room for each of these in equal nature, but not combining them? Because when you combine them, it waters down the message of them all, and it waters down the importance.
I don't think people are able to do that.
Yeah,
and the way that policy moves, we ain't able to do that.
Yeah, like in this hashtag culture, the minute it all gets grouped together, to me, the faster it'll be something to no longer be concerned with. I think the beauty in what Black Lives Matter was able to accomplish this past summer is how isolated it was. It literally was like Black Lives Matter, pretty much all on its own, and just worldwide. You saying when you got people in other countries tearing down statues all for one singular cause, it's not to say that we're more important. You could say more deserving because of the amount of time that's passed and how long we've suffered. But it was just all of that isolated attention allowed for more impactful things to be done. I feel like the Asian community needs that same isolated attention to get their ball moving faster in their court.
However it is they're able to do that.
And how are you able to do that? And it's not everybody, though we all care, everybody's not going to care as much about the same things. You know what I'm saying? So you're somebody who's anti-racist, but the majority of your anti-racist stems to that which affects you most, I can't say that you're wrong for that. I can't ever say somebody's wrong to a certain extent for being more concerned with that which affects them immediately more than something else.
I feel like the only person who can focus their attention on all these anti-racist movements is a white person who's anti-racist, because they don't have that pressure on them of feeling that racism. So you can focus on all these different areas because you more than likely can find the root of the problem a lot easier than I can.
The way I see it, if you feel the need to go out and bully somebody or treat somebody a certain way over something that happened, like a pandemic that no one on your like level or class can control, you know what I'm saying? Like you got to feel like a dumbass or an idiot. Like
it's ridiculous that they getting treated that way for any reason, especially that. Like this shit is just dumb. Like, brother, this was gonna happen regardless anywhere.
Yeah. Like, how did I do anything? I live in fucking Seattle. You know what I'm saying? Like, what I had to do with it? Why are you at me right now?
Why are you coming up targeting me? Why even give a disease a demographic? It is a disease. We can't attach a label to everything. Now it's the Asian disease. All of that is just
China virus.
Moronic. And the China virus came from our, well, Khalil, you know who
it is. Your dog, your boy.
Leave you alone, though. Your homeboy.
Y'all gotta chill.
Your commander in chief.
Because at some point we got to get there. We put out the trailer. It's lacking some context. We just want to make sure everybody's able to identify who's a fan of who.
All right.
Just want to make sure. We ain't got to do it today, though.
Yeah,
we're going to move on. Sure. We got to do it today. Another thing that came across was Hulu released a tell-all docuseries covering the life, the rise and fall of Britney Spears. As a result of this new insight of her struggles, light was shed on how poor of a partner Justin Timberlake was during some of her darkest moments when they were romantically involved and pretty much in a relationship. He's since apologized on the Instagram for both his shortcomings and failures with Britney Spears, as well as the incident with Janet Jackson when he exposed her during that Super Bowl. He apologized for both of those in an Instagram post, pretty much condemning the continuous issues that patriarchy and misogyny causes to women in our society. Now, I don't necessarily want to do a deep dive on Britney or Janet, though we can. Much love to both of those women and the things that they've gone through. But more apparent to me as it stood out was we have this continuous cycle of late apologies connected to cancel culture.
Care.
How do we feel about that? How do we feel about the pressure that is put on people at times to come back and speak on things from 10, 15, 20 years ago, and the cancel culture that goes along with that?
I think it's annoying.
Yeah, I don't
care. You think cancel culture is annoying?
I think it's annoying.
The best apology is change behavior. Like, you can, if Justin Timberlake's still treating women like shit, I don't care about his apology.
Okay, fair.
Right,
I mean, for sure.
I mean, my thing on that is, if you know and you fail to act on what you know, the apology doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? You already knew at that point. You already knew you were gonna have to apologize. You know what I mean? Like, if you know what you're doing is wrong, if you know that you should be stepping in or whatever the situation is that she was in, right, or whatever, you know what I'm saying, right. JT didn't do. He knew, and he chose not to act on it.
And then you feel pressured to apologize because the spotlight's on you. We don't know if they've had a conversation behind closed doors and they've already, made amends or whatever. Exactly. I'm not doing that. And even if I felt the need to speak on it, if he had already taken that step to speak to those women and for themselves personally to get over that, hey, we talked about it, we good. You know what I'm saying? That's all I have to say about it. But I mean, the shit is dumb, like, for everybody to feel entitled to some sort of resolution from people that they don't know.
It ain't none of their business, bro. Like
it's
just because I'm in a spotlight don't mean I ain't got a personal life. Like, don't mean I ain't got shortcomings. I'm not perfect.
Yeah, not to let anybody off the hook, but like, bro, you're not here for this. I will say accountability is perfect. Is not perfect. Is important.
Mm-hmm.
In certain spaces, in certain aspects, depending on what the situation is. But I don't know how we hold Justin Timberlake accountable for like the personal relationship he had with Britney Spears. Like, I don't like for what now? Now why are we talking about it? Like, just weird.
I didn't even know they was together at any point.
Did not know that. News to me.
It was news to me because I saw it. Like I said, Britney Spears, Janet Jackson, both incredibly deserving of respect. Everybody knows that situation.
Shout out Bobby Brown.
was incredibly unnecessary, and unfortunately, even though Justin Timberlake was the person that committed the foul act in exposing her, due to the image that she had as an artist, where she was pretty much seen as a sex symbol, a sex icon, people attributed that exposure to her wanting to be seen like that, and we know how very far away from the truth that is. So she caught a lot of unnecessary heat for that. But it's not just Justin that has fallen into this trap. We've seen Kevin Hart go through it.
I'm sick of him too.
We've seen a number of people where it's like, I believe in accountability. I believe in growth. I believe in telling people what it is that they're doing wrong, giving them a chance to fix it. But like with the amount of time that passes, it just seems like more. I don't know if there's any real accountability and growth that can come from the headlines that are pushed out in this manner. Like if it's not the two of them sitting down and getting on one accord and finding peace within these situations, like with the Kevin Hart situation, how do I apologize for tweets from 10 years ago? You know what I'm saying? Things that were funny 10 years ago aren't funny now. It's not my fault. I'm not saying that I can't have some responsibility for it going forward, but some of the things that were funny 10 years ago, you can't laugh at now. I mean, I'm a huge Bernie Mac fan through and through. There are things that Bernie Mac said that I might not really be able to, I can't post that to my Instagram today.
I'm about to say, I'm gonna laugh, but I might laugh. I'm gonna laugh at the house.
Right. And even with Timberlake, some of the interviews that I was clicking through to see what it was that he was saying wrong, it sounds like a 22-year-old in 2002. Not that it's right, but 17 years is a long time.
If Bernie was still here, they'd be on it right now.
I wish somebody would ask me to apologize for something 17 years ago. What the hell?
It was a long time.
If Bernie was still here, they'd be on his ass right now.
Bernie want to make it. Bernie want to make it. I don't know.
No, I mean, the only person who does is Dave, but that's because he doesn't apologize. Dave Chappelle just doesn't care. I think, it's just, I don't know. He dodges a lot.
I don't think Bernie was as universally funny to be able to come back from the shit that Dave come back from. Like everybody think Dave Chappelle is funny. Like Bernie Mac, I'm not gonna say he's a niche comedian, but his audience is his audience. His audience is his audience.
Okay, yeah. So that's Dave Chappelle at that superstar level of comedy that he's able to offer the world.
Can't do wrong.
He can't.
Kevin Hart not there.
No, but I would disagree with that though. Like I would disagree.
As far as being that funny,
he's not that. But
what I'm disagreeing with is the level of stardom that and it's not that I'm saying this, right? It's not coming from me necessarily, but I'm disagreeing with the level of stardom that you are saying Dave Chappelle is at. Because now the four of us can agree Dave Chappelle is top 3, top 2, if not top 1, right? But there's a generation under us, right? Those people didn't grow up on Dave Chappelle. They didn't watch the Dave Chappelle show, right? They didn't have the same specials that we have. So when you look at people that are, let's say I'm 23, let's say 20 and under, right? For however much they matter to us, those people don't like Dave Chappelle. Like if you look at
they also not spending money.
Specials on Rotten Tomatoes, right? Like it got a score of like 0, right?
That's incredible.
Now, if this was 10 years ago, 2005, you would never see anything like that. Dave Chappelle doing a comedy special and it gets rated a 0.
Sure, all right. But the shows are sold out.
They are.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, but I'm saying like you talking about level of stardom. I don't like you're like. An indie movie can get 100, critic score, but it ain't gonna sell out no seats. Like, like your level of stardom for you to be able to combat a 0 critic score with sold out shows every time you go on the road. Cause I get what you're saying. Like people under 20, might not care for Dave Chappelle to know who he is, but they also don't spend no money, so it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of a business and that kind of factor. It doesn't matter what they think because they're not part of this market. Like they own TikTok and Instagram, like that's where their comedians at, and they ain't making no money.
But to an extent, they are part of the market, though, because also those specials are on, or were, I don't know if they still are, on things like Netflix, right?
And they was getting watched. That's why he keeps getting paid huge Netflix deals to make specials, because people are watching them. I get what you're saying, but
it's a matter
that goes to show you. Yeah, I mean, it's been 30 years.
I'm not saying that he isn't a superstar. Like, I'm not saying he's like any lower than like what we're saying.
Who's a bigger comedian than Dave Chappelle in the way that you're saying it?
Kevin Hart.
From a general.
That's easy though.
Like, outside of the situations that he's had with his own wife, which really have nothing to do with us as a fan, I'm choosing to say it has nothing to do with me. That's their house. As just a general marketable, palatable comedian, Kevin Hart has really broken, and it's at all age groups too.
Like my girlfriend's little brother, who is 10 years old, knows who Kevin Hart is. He doesn't know
and loves him. Yeah.
All right, I'll give you that. I'm thinking ability, because them last two specials was fucking trash.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, when
he might not be the funny.
People like us, we gonna say that like Dave Chappelle.
But I don't know if his comedy is gonna last, because he's already not funny anymore. And even like the movies, even the movies not really that funny no more.
To us and to you.
I'm 25 years old.
What I'm saying is there are people that are still buying those movies. Like a lot of people. You don't watch them.
We saying the same thing.
We saying the same thing.
I'm saying what is important is the audience. Like, you got
old people not watching Kevin Hart.
But the young people are.
So I'm saying you got the middle scale, you got the young scale, and you got the old scale. Both of them got either poles.
They definitely watching them. But I think the difference is
definitely watching Kevin Hart.
I think old people are watching Kevin Hart too.
Yeah. Shit. So I don't think Kevin Hart is that funny, but what he doesn't have, and this is again no knock on anyone, because I will say that I laughed at it. What he doesn't have is like alphabet people jokes. So like, even though he's not as funny, his marketability, he's chosen to be wider versus being as vertically successful, to me, as far as his comedy route. Like, he didn't focus as much as climbing the ladder as he did building his foundation. And his brand, he's got the biggest comedic brand.
Yeah, ain't nobody did it like him.
All time.
Yeah, nobody did like that. All the movies, like all these things. Like, I'm not trying to take away from him, but I just feel like Dave Chappelle is just the way that he's done it, for him to have taken so long off and then come right back and not skip a beat and be up there with Kevin Hart.
Yeah, it speaks to it.
After having not doing nothing, it's like, yo, what?
He's taking his lump.
It's like, Cuz came out of nowhere. It's like, hey, y'all, I got a special. And we was all like, yes.
Yes, about time. Yeah.
And it was funny as hell.
It's like comparing that athlete that's never, ever been hurt to the athlete that's been hurt, came back, and was at the same level. Like, I'm in this conversation, but I didn't have my ACL last year. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's been down there. But with the cancel culture, I just don't know if it, when we judging people 10 years ago, there's so many things that we did.
It's getting out of hand, but it's because we got too much access.
People make mistakes.
We got too much access to each other.
Yeah, we got too much access. People make mistakes. People make mistakes. We have to have room to grow, to mature, to how far have we made it just with the women in our lives, just by sitting down and having conversations, asking different questions. We needed, sisters, aunties, cousins. I
feel you.
Yeah, to like sit down and make those hard choices possible. But I just don't think the way that we're going now is fair. It's like, and it's a bunch of regular people too. It's a bunch of regular, like, cheating on their wives, not paying their taxes, you know what I'm saying? Not taking their dog for a walk when they get home because they tired. It's a bunch of people like that have the most opinions on these situations.
Club on Saturday, no church on Sunday.
Yeah, it's them folk. It's them folk.
Hey.
I know who I am. That's why I ain't got much to say.
I can't wait to go back outside, nigga. I'm in the streets.
So no, I found it interesting. All in all, hopefully he more than what he does on the internet. Hopefully, in the 17 years that have passed, he's chosen to be an accountable and responsible man for the women he comes in contact with. And we'll never know. He don't. He really don't. He just keep posting videos of like random things, like him playing catch with Tom Brady. Yippee yay, whoop de doo.
Awful music. I'm sick of him.
Well, I ain't say
What's the last thing you? What's the I'm about to say? What's the last thing you listened to Just Tape in the last 10 years? Because that was 2010, right?
You want to be honest? You want to be honest?
You did not like that country album.
Why? Listen. Listen. I'm trying to be as honest as I can for our followers.
Okay.
I did like.
Who?
Well, listen. Now I might lose a few.
I appreciate all 9 of y'all.
I did appreciate the Man of the Woods. I thought it was different. I mean, you're not gonna catch me listening to country any other time, so I had to take Justin Timberlake's offer on it. That's as close as I can get. It was okay for me. I'm not going any further.
I'm sick of him getting his own Jordans too. I'm sick of Justin Timberlake in general. I'm tired of him.
Is it a long-standing Memphis beat? I feel the need to ask.
What?
Just, with the fact that he is from Memphis, does it have anything to do with that?
He is from Millington. Millington is about 30 minutes north.
Not Memphis.
So it is it's Memphis surrounding area. He is one of the suburbs of Memphis. I give you that, but he is not from Memphis.
Okay. All right.
I only claim him whenever I'm trying to, spice it up a little bit, the conversation that I'm having, and he happens to make his way into the fold.
He does.
I don't know how he makes it, but I know in the past I've mentioned, he's from Memphis, and it worked out positively for me. But in most situations, no, I don't claim Justin Timberlake for any reason.
Justin Timberlake to the world is in that Sean Evans space, but we know Sean Evans is a one of one.
Shout out to Hot Ones.
The world sees him. Shout out to Hot Ones. Shout out to that stupid Hot Wing Challenge. We did it.
It was great.
It was I don't know how to describe it. Coop, you saw more of it than we did, at least in normal state.
I quit. I ain't. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get the joke out for you. I'll get it out, goddamn. Yeah, I quit after 2 wings. It was done.
I thought you made it more than 2.
I think I might have ate 3. I might have ate 3, but I was out of there.
We went all the way, and it was. I don't even remember that. I was out of body.
Yeah. It was not regular. Some context for everybody. Justin Timberlake is often seen as that one white guy who could really sit at a table full of black people or different demographics and fit in, get along. He plays basketball in the celebrity games, has Jordan, so on and so forth. He's from Memphis, typically a black town. So he's seen as your quote unquote really cool, really urban and hip white guy. For the record, we've established that he's really from Millington, so we can question whether any of that is valid or not.
I mean, I'm sure he's a cool guy.
I mean, I'm sure he's a cool guy too. I like him. But I have to be honest to the people.
He is not Sean Evans, is what we're getting at here.
But he's not Sean Evans, and that's the most important part. No disrespect to Justin, but Sean Evans is a special guy. We hope to find our way to cross paths. I would only do the Hot Wing Challenge again if I was on that show. But Hot Ones is a show on YouTube where they eat these wings that get progressively hotter the longer the interview takes place.
Open Ranks is a LeBron James and Sean Evans stand account. We're going to add to this list as we go on, but right now those are 2 at the top.
Certified. Khalil, I bet you've seen it.
What, Hot Ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it. I didn't know y'all were on it.
No, we weren't on there. We bought the sauces and did it at home.
Oh, word.
Real silly. Yeah. No payment.
Awful idea.
I'm talking about we was on the show.
We're going to speak it into existence. We're going to speak it into existence. We're going to get on the show.
We're going to get on the show.
Word.
All right, last little bit, man. We're gonna close this out. The NBA is here. We got an opportunity to kind of talk about the NFL, knowing that the Super Bowl was coming. But the NBA is here relatively soon, right? The bubble kind of just ended, and we're back into a heavy NBA season. Who is everybody rooting for? Say it now, so that we can keep it consistent for the rest of the season. Who's your team?
Gold.
Purple and gold. Los Angeles Lakers. Gotti, who you rocking with?
I have been rocking with the best player in the league for the last 12, 13 years going on now. So LeBron James. So wherever he is at, that's where I'm at. So shout out to the Lakers. Shout out to Khalil. It's nice to have you on the winning team for once.
Welcome.
Cool. Who you got?
Honestly, I don't have a team. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. We don't have a pro ball team.
For the Wildcats.
So I do not.
What team?
Louisville Cardinal fan. As far as NBA goes, I like to watch good basketball, man. I don't care who win, really, to be honest. I like to see LeBron get another one, but I'm not rooting for no specific teams.
Word. I'm rocking with the Heat. Growing from West Palm, hour from Miami. Always rocking with the Heat. Shout out to Spo. Shout out to Pat Riley. Wade County. Secondly, my second pick. I always try to pick an underdog team. Really got love for Monty Williams and the Phoenix Suns this year. They playing a beautiful brand of basketball. Now, I'm not saying they're championship contenders. I'm just saying that I like to see good basketball played, like Coop states. And with Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and all the role players and young guys they got out there, they play some incredibly great basketball. All that being said, my next question is going to be who's taking the NBA championship this season, but I'll answer it for everybody here. It will be the Los Angeles Lakers. And we will see LeBron James get one championship closer to certifying his status as the best to ever do it for the people who still don't want to give him that credit.
Hey, who they playing, though?
That'd
Who
be
they
6, right?
You said who they playing?
Yeah.
I got Philly. I think Philly finally fixed what was wrong with their team, like keeping them from getting there all these years before. And Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are so much older and so much more mature and really stepping into their role. Shout out to Doc Rivers. So yeah, I got Philly against the Lakers.
Look at Kalen right now. I don't think he agreeing with you.
Well, I was counting rings in my head, but I mean, I don't agree. I got the Nets coming out.
This man, you got who coming out?
Actually, no, because their defense is awful. It looked good at first, but nah.
What'd you say?
I mean, I said the Nets,
Oh.
but I'm reneging on that. I take that back. I don't. Boston. Let's give it to Boston. They've been there a few times. Maybe Boston can finally make their way out if they make a move or two. Because I don't think they got it at the guard position.
You rooting for Boston, Scotty?
I'm not. Don't put words in my mouth.
I just want to see where everybody's at.
I'm gonna set the record. I hate Boston. I hate them. Always will. Always have. Always will. I hate Boston. I like Jason Tatum. I kind of like what's the Jaylen Brown? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he decent.
He's a bad boy.
Yeah, but either I hate the Boston Celtics organization, so I'm not rooting for them, but I am not a hater, so I can acknowledge well played basketball when it is being played. And Boston has been playing good basketball for the last 4 or 5 years now, so I'm thinking they might finally break through that last barrier and get to the finals so they can go and lose to LeBron instead of losing to him in the East.
So who gonna lose to LeBron in the Western Conference semifinals?
Don't care.
And who's gonna be there is what I'm asking.
The Jazz.
Jazz. You got the
Jazz.
Jazz. For some reason, I see the Jazz making it to the Western Conference Finals, but they're giving me Clippers vibes, man. I feel like they got all the right pieces to get there, but not enough.
They don't have enough.
Yeah, they're not a championship team for me. I don't know why. Their record is outstanding, but I mean, or I'll pay them better respects than the Clippers, because they remind me of that year that the Toronto Raptors had the #1 record in the league. That's the feeling that I have from them, because everybody saw the Toronto Raptors as a #1 seed. Obviously, they had the record for it, but nobody was saying that they were championship contenders. Like, we all knew that they weren't built for a championship, but they were some regular season heroes. I'm not giving the Clippers even that much respect.
So LeBron get 2 more before you leave.
He can.
I wanna jump on that Clippers talk real quick. Just to go back to a topic we were talking about earlier when we were talking about team building and how important that is.
Sure.
Right. I want to make a real big distinction when we talk about the Lakers and the Clippers. And this is a perfect example of team building, right? So all season, right? And of course, this doesn't mean as much because the season's over with. The Lakers already been crowned the championships, and there's no way of me going back to prove what I'm saying. But what I was saying all season last year, the difference between the Lakers and the Clippers, the Lakers have role players that know their roles and they play to their roles. The Clippers, right? So when you look at the Clippers, you had 20-point per game Lou Williams, 20-point per game Montrezl Harrell, 20-point per game Paul George, 20-point per game Kawhi Leonard, Marcus Morris, who's never seen a shot that he didn't like, right? So that's your five best players. All 5 of them are primary score mentality guys. No, none of the 5 I just named has a distribution bone in their body. Right now, Kawhi can play make if he's put in that situation. Paul George can play make if he's put in that situation. But the difference is with the Lakers, you can go 1 through 5, right? LeBron, I'm gonna save all that just to get to the point of it's just about role players. Danny Green, right? You didn't see Danny Green come out there when it's clutch time trying to take somebody off the dribble and shooting 17 shots in the playoff game, right?
You just see him miss 10 threes.
Yeah, but you see him not do his job, but he also does his job. He does nothing more than what his job is. Right?
He tried to do his job and he failed at it, but he didn't do nothing else.
You'll see the Clippers with and this is more so talking about last year. Let's say they're down 7, under 2 minutes left. There's no situation where Marcus Morris needs to be going ISO at the top of the team, right? No situation. Lou Williams, you shouldn't be dribbling the ball. You see what I'm saying? And there was way too much of that throughout the season that I noticed. And I knew when it came down to the playoffs, they didn't play enough games for those roles to be established. So now you got guys, it's pretty much like hot potato. Like, okay, PG,
playing a pickup game.
You can blame coaching and star role players for that. Or star players for that. I mean, look, I love Doc, but ain't no way in hell Marcus Morris is doing that on my team without getting benched. When I got Lou and Kawhi and
But
Paul
this is the question. What do you have him on the court for then? Because he's not a good defender. He's not a good rebounder. He's not a glue guy. You have him on there to get buckets.
Was Doc still dual hatting as the GM as well when they picked up Marcus?
No, he wasn't.
Well, no, because they traded for him and then they signed him, right? Yeah, he wasn't.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that's GM then. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot of things that went wrong there, but
it's a lot of things that went wrong.
I more so blame Kawhi because niggas ain't doing that on my squad. I'm sorry.
I mean, you gotta blame the role players at the end of the day because they didn't hit the shots that they were supposed. I mean, PG off the backboard. Kawhi went I think he went 0 in the last 2 fourth quarters.
Yeah, the game that you're talking about, the leading scorer was Patrick Beverly. He had 11.
Poo-putt.
He was the leading scorer for that elimination game.
Big poo-putt vibes.
When you balancing the weight versus on players versus the organization, where does that balance? Like who holds the most?
I mean, somebody got to hit the shot.
It really depends. I mean, most of it is on the organization, of course, but it really just depends because, for me, when I think about the Clippers meltdown, I think it's more so player than anything else, right? I think accountability from the players is bigger than because you gotta know, you gotta just know, okay, last year I was a 20-point per game scorer. The other Montrezl Harrell, and I'm speaking of Lou Williams, guys like Lou Williams, guys like Marcus Morris, Montrezl Harrell. You were 20-point game guys last year, but you gotta know, this year those shots aren't y'all's.
Forgot about Reggie Jackson. He definitely not holding the shot. He's not holding the shot for nobody.
That clip that's circulating right now with Kawhi moving that boy where he needs to be on that play is hilarious. Now, I mean, I agree with Khalil. I think for Coot, for me, it's, and I was just talking to Jones about this too, whether or not basketball has finally got to the point where it's just a smidge boring because it's just everything is the 3-point shot now. I mean, it's to the point where you got more shooters than you do ball handlers, to the point where you close out on Duncan Robinson. I'm just speaking as a Miami Heat fan. Well, we're in big trouble because he can't dribble. You get what I'm saying? So if he don't have enough room or feel confident to get that shot off, we stuck. And the basketball used to have a bigger variety than that. You used to really have you had to mix and match puzzle pieces. Now it's literally driving kick, shoot a 3.
Is it
3 and D, and that's it. You know what I'm saying?
No, they don't have real playmakers in the game no more.
Right. And I don't know how I feel about that. I think, to answer Coop's question more specifically, I'll say it starts with the organization. I think it starts with when you look at teams like the San Antonio Spurs, when you look at the Miami Heat, when you look at Memphis Grizzlies, right? Grit and grind, that culture, and they continue to find people to fit that culture. When you look at the Indiana Pacers, right, they want high volume scorers and excellent defensive players at every single position, at least to the best of their ability, and they draft and sign people that only fit that notion, right? Like they don't trade for nobody crazy. In the past 10 years, they went and got Oladipo, who fit their frame, and they went and got Karis LeVert, who also fits their frame.
And Sabonis.
And Sabonis. So it's like, and Malcolm Brogdon. So like, I feel like when the team has an identity, you look at what the Raptors did about the transfer to power from Lowry to Van Vliet. Like when the teams have an identity and the GM is able to sign people that fit that identity, I think it works faster. Because anything else is a miracle. And I don't believe in. I'm not saying miracles don't happen in sports, but there's a reason why there's some teams that you know, and there's a lot of teams that you forget about.
For sure. That's a good point.
But with the NBA in mind, they led the way for the coronavirus last year. The Utah Jazz specifically. Rudy Gobert getting sick first, that then affecting Donovan Mitchell. The NBA said, hey, right now we are stopping this thing. And as we were watching last season, it seemed as if they made every immediate effort that made sense to contain the virus and still allow for there to be play, right? They took that off season in the middle of the season. Then we were able to have the bubble. Everything worked to the best of their ability. They had nobody pop positive, and it looked like the NBA was doing an incredible job. We come back to this year, they're a little bit more relaxed with the standards. They've manipulated the schedule to keep containment. A lot of teams are playing each other back to back, like playoff style. But this year, they're wanting to host the AllStarGame. And we've seen a lot of people speak out negatively against the idea of having an AllStarGame in the middle of a pandemic. Is the NBA being a hypocrite right now?
They're losing money. The league ain't been making money for some years now, so it's tough on anybody economically, and I feel like that's where this is coming from. I mean, is it necessary? No, I don't think anybody expected a damn All-Star game this year anyway. So what is the point? I don't care. I mean, don't nobody besides last year. I don't know the last time anybody was actually excited about an All-Star game. So who cares?
Yeah, I mean, Kobe's last one. And then last year's because they changed the format. A lot of people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Last year they changed the format, so they was trying to figure it out. But yeah, there's nothing significant about the All-Star game no more.
Right. What do you think, Khalil? Like I said, LeBron's mad. Giannis has spoken out. He's mad. Everybody's like,
shit. I feel bad for Towns. Hell.
Karl-Anthony Towns. Yeah, because he spoke out about it and the way COVID has affected his family. What you think, Khalil?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they should have a game. I mean, Caleb, you hit a whole lot of good points. Aside from the past couple, or I know last year for sure, that All-Star game, I don't remember Kobe's last one, and then the one last year.
What was that, 2016?
16. That was his last year. 16 was his last year. So aside from those past couple All-Star games, the All-Star game hasn't really, met too much, and I definitely don't think it means enough to where they're risking transmitting COVID to 30 teams by having, or however many teams, by having such a lump of the league coming to one place. It doesn't make sense, but money is the biggest motivator, so putting that aside, I understand why, as far as trying to make up some of the deficit. I just don't think it's going to work how they want it to. One, I don't think it's going to bring the revenue that they think it's going to, and I also don't think that it makes enough sense to do it.
Got it. What you got?
I mean, I think there's more motivations than money. Obviously, that's the main one, but even the sentimental value for the players and the first time All-Star guys and shit like that. Like I don't care. Like that decision to be made, even with that in mind, is not significant enough, to move forward. Like I'm sorry, Trae Young I'm sorry Trae Young not gonna get to enjoy his first All-Star game, but there's a lot of people that didn't get to enjoy a lot of shit the last couple years. It'll be all right.
Sure. Do you feel like when situations like this happen, and we know money is one of the main motivators, that the players should be equally as willing to take a pay cut as they are speaking out against the one thing that is paying their salary, because it is an exchange, right? There's the product that they are that generates the revenue, and then there's the fine print of what's necessary to keep that revenue train going. So if you're saying that the NBA is wrong for putting themselves in a position to try to make up for money that's lost, where does that stand with the money that you still want to be paid? Do those things correlate?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about the CBA to get too much into the weeds.
Sure.
I mean,
like, should they want to play?
You can have an opinion. You can have
pay their salary.
It's not paying their salary. That money's already there.
Okay.
So I don't think those two things match up.
No, they get paid per game. They don't just get a flat check for their salary.
Right. No, I'm saying, but like the NBA ain't gonna run out of money to pay these folks.
For sure.
Yeah, no, not at all. No, I thought it was interesting. I don't think they should have the All-Star game. I think they've done just enough, literally just enough. Like, they have hit maximum tolerance with the fact that these guys are moving around and kind of outside of the bubble that they created for themselves last year. And it's still working really well. So hats off to the NBA from that. Last thing that I wanted to hit in regards to the NBA is Mark Cuban came down, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, and he decided that the Dallas Mavericks organization would no longer play the national anthem for any of their home games until they pretty much find something that better speaks to everybody's comfortability with where we are in America currently. That announcement wasn't well received by many people, including the NBA, who made it a point to let them know that the national anthem will continue to be played regardless of how he feels. National anthem at sporting events, is it necessary?
No.
But yeah, like, it doesn't help anything. It doesn't help further accomplish anything.
I've been listening to the national anthem since I was in like grade school, bro. Like every day. I don't even like singing the song, right? like I respect it, all of that, bro. But like, come on, I know the words like verbatim. Like, I don't need it every day, every event. There's got to be 1,000 events.
When you think about it, it's genuinely just really out of place. Like, I don't know when, where, and why it started, but it is genuinely very out of place for the context that it's in. Like, we're about to go like throw some fucking balls around, bro. Like, why is this necessary to start? I don't get it.
Like, why does Nation need a blessing right now? You just about to shoot some hoops.
If you live on base, you literally listen to it every day.
Yeah.
But that's fitting though, right? Like,
yeah, that makes
where
sense.
It should be played.
Within context, it makes sense why that's being played.
If I'm at the YMCA and we could have a 6-year-old basketball
and somebody like stops and hits play on the fucking stereo and plays the Star Spangled Banner, I'm like, yo,
come on, bro, come on.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting thing. I don't feel like it's necessary. I thought by Mark Cuban taking that stance, it was incredibly like progressive, forward. It should have been done a long time ago. I thought, to be fair, that it was going to come. I thought that would have been an option on the table during the Colin Kaepernick controversy as some see it, enlightening period for the four of us. Because they started paying the Star Spangled Banner after World War I. I got to think that a lot of people who were in the military were also the local athletes for the town, and those people kind of went hand in hand, and that's kind of where the tradition started. Started at baseball games. There'd even be live military bands there to play the Star Spangled Banner at a game every so often, and it really kicked off, they say, during the World Series in 1918. And ever since then,
it's even dumb that we called the World Series because it's only us. We don't invite nobody else to play. We call NBA champions world champions. We call we the only country that plays American football, but we call them people world champions. It's dumb. It don't make no sense. Nothing we do makes sense.
But that's America. Like, that goes.
We're the most hyperbolic country
don't make
ever.
Any sense.
We exaggerate and overcompensate to no end. That's what we do. That's how we tell our stories.
The World Series, brother. It is New York and Boston. They are 30 minutes away.
Speaking of over-exaggerating, I be looking at these EPRs like,
that's all we do.
really
exaggerate. To a certain extent, there's a lot of exaggeration built into how we tell our stories. What does it actually get us? You know what I'm saying? Because I've always found that conflicting. You want to take the politics out of sport.
Disappointed.
You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. Let's find a more appropriate time for that. Because who is it really benefiting? It's not benefiting the athletes 9 times out of 10. And there's somewhere else. There's other avenues to take to get that.
I feel like
romanticized feelings toward the military.
You could every game, just somebody come up with a different speaking point that they want to speak to and bring attention to before the game, no matter what it is. It could be something stupid, something funny, something heartwarming, something important, something politically conscious, whatever. But just something that we want to highlight in that time that we would have, been standing there for the national anthem and give shine some light on whatever the fuck that is and let that be and then start the game.
You know, it's not going anywhere.
I just look at it as like a further level of indoctrination. You know what I mean? Like on a grand scale.
Yeah.
It's weird.
All they trying to do is really get some new recruits.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just a form of indoctrination.
However much money they can make.
Why are we sending jets over the stadium? Why, bro?
War equals more money. It equals a boost in the economy, all of that shit. When people realize that they got to stop putting money over the health and well-being of human lives.
Hey, you playing with my check now. You need to quiet down a little bit.
That's solidified, you feel me? But come on, bro. People out here dying.
I just don't. I don't think it's necessary to assert world dominance. When the Raiders are playing, what's another shit team? When the Raiders are playing the goddamn Jaguars. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see no planes flying. For what? For what? Who are we intimidating here? Minshew.
Whole lot of wasted money right there.
You get what I'm saying?
You got Gardner Minshew and damn Derek Carr.
That's it. And for a team, I do love. If there was ever an appropriate place to me for it, it would be the Super Bowl, because that's something that's broadcasted on a world stage. Give me the World Series, maybe. NBA championships, maybe. Your big time events where I know that the viewership, it goes well beyond just our borders. I'm good with that. But the only place where it's most appropriate to me is the Olympics, where it's literally our country versus somebody else's. And we're hosting. You get what I'm saying? Play it. Let's everybody play their fight song before we go rumble. And then after that, let it be. How much more America can the Knicks offer the Brooklyn Nets?
Anytime somebody plays Toronto, that too.
Okay, yeah, true.
I give you that. Anytime
they have to
somebody
plays Toronto, they are in another country.
Yeah.
Canada is its own thing, so they should have to suffer. But other than that, it's kind of like these people who have the American flags in their front yards. It gets to a point where it's overzealous. I get it. It's like listening to somebody talk about themselves in third person. We understand. You feel important. But this is overkill. I think we've let patriotism go far beyond practicality at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, what's really practical about it in the first place? Somebody can be proud of their country, sure, but at the point where you're outwardly
one of these episodes we got to tap into that too, because I feel like there's a lot of people confused about what patriotism is.
That's definitely on the agenda at some point.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, we could definitely do a follow-up, because I think, when we introduce our next guest, I think he's going to have a lot to say about that. So I'm all for digging into what patriotism is.
You got to clear them papers first.
Yeah. For what it really is. And I'm willing to go all into the weeds of military doctrine. We can go to Webster's with it, and we can paint the perfect picture, because I don't want anybody to be confused about where we stand in regards to our current state of employment and the things that we value, and how willing we would be to do our job and do it well. But there is a line that is necessary to be drawn, because patriotism is used as a mask to cover up for a lot of flaws. And, I don't think we can get any further as a society until we take the mask off.
Deep.
But we'll leave that for
ours.
We'll be back for the next time we all get together. Hey, it's been nothing but love. It's been real. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube as soon as we get up and running on there. But for now, be sure to check us out on all of your favorite platforms where you access all of your other podcasts. As always, we'll see you when we see you. Peace.